probably close out this year, I think at 40 plus million of just annuity business, nothing else, not like AUM. And that's with me having and just my brother having up through March, from July through the end of the year. I mean, I know we're going to have topped 30 more million. Anybody who's, done maybe a little bit of fixed index annuity sales, done any type of virtual sales, or just is comfortable at least doing Zoom meetings, that's somebody who's going to fit in well. And I can really show people, here's the exact, camera to buy. Here's the exact, computer setup I have that's cheap and very easy to use, right? Here's the software systems. Here's how to put together the PowerPoint presentations.
All right, welcome back, everybody. We got Aaron Saxena here. Today in this quick podcast, we're going to give you guys an update on Aaron's success with this kind of virtual marketing with us for the last year and a half. And we'll talk about a new opportunity to work with Aaron and benefit from his success. And we'll see where it goes with the interview. So Aaron, thank you for doing this again.
Yeah, for sure, man. I hope everything's been good with you too.
Yeah, all good, man. All good. So last time we spoke, you just opened up Modern Capital. I think it was, was it March or April of this year?
It was not until even like June that we fully got up and running. Actually, it was like March, April. We were kind of getting the ball rolling with everything. But June, we sort of fully opened kind of the virtual doors and had just begun kind of marketing again and everything by then. So.
Yeah. And at that point, I think just before then, you were spending about 20, 30K a month. It was you and your brother. Since then, you recruited 4 or 5 other advisors that actually work at Modern Capital.
Yep. We're up to 5 now, 2 that have really been kind of highly producing, I would say, and like fully trained and everything since probably around like the July timeframe. And then 2 more that are sort of in the process of getting onboarded, trained, and kind of just starting to do meetings now. So.
Yeah. And looking at the numbers from last month in September, you guys spent about 50 grand on ad spend with about 4 advisors, brought in 13 million of assets, 7 million AUM, 6 million FIAs. That's about 3.2 million per month per advisor, which is ridiculous. I've never seen these numbers before with any other kind of marketing and sales system. So congrats to you on that.
Thank you, man. And honestly, it kind of blew my mind a little bit too, because I thought, honestly, when talking to you, I remember before we kind of started the process of like, all right, bringing on other guys and everything, I think my biggest concern was going to be, is it going to translate as well when it's somebody else doing the meetings, somebody else really doing the majority of the process, right? Maybe me having a little bit of input or a little bit of FaceTime in a meeting, but like other advisors really running it, right? And I knew my brother had been fairly successful, but I was actually shocked. I think I told you one of the guys that I brought on, it was like within, the first 4 weeks or 6 weeks or something, I think he had closed just him like 4 million or some of annuity business. It was just, I don't know. It kind of made me think, I'm like, maybe there are guys that when given a good process and a good program and everything might actually be like better salespeople or better at the closing than I am at a certain point. So yeah, there was no trail off, which to me was crazy.
Yeah, definitely. When you were putting together the plan, I think you were thinking of 2 months of basically making no money on.
We said three months, I think it was, where I considered it ramp up time, where I was like, if a guy doesn't close anything for 3 months and I'm paying for marketing and everything, I was like, that was kind of my assumption. I was like, I figured it would take that long for just somebody to really get up to speed and kind of understand process and systems. But then I realized we really do keep things kind of so simple, and our systems are so easy to use. Our process is so kind of simple that I was like, that guy picked it up. I think after 2 weeks, he was running all of his, first meetings himself. And after 3 weeks, he was running all of his second meetings himself. And I was rarely coming in other than maybe a little bit of FaceTime in a third meeting or something like that. So yeah, it was a lot faster getting ramped up than I think we anticipated, which was nice.
Awesome, man. That really shows the duplicate. What's the word? It's
duplicability.
That's a very complicated word for me. It's so duplicatable, the process. A lot of times you have 1-star advisor and they're doing some magic thing and nobody can figure it out, but you have a simple, repeatable, that's an easier word, process.
I think that's what we've kind of really figured out and drilled down to, because that was my biggest concern. Was I've seen tons of individual success stories, even, sort of the traditional office I used to work at prior to forming Modern, right? It's got a big personality advisor that goes out and does seminars. They're a great closer, right? Like they could close anybody, but they don't even necessarily have a process, right? They're a good salesperson. They're a good closer, right? They can kind of freewheel and do things on the fly. And that was what I was worried about is, like you said, is it going to translate, right? Because I can do that to a degree, right? And we were really trying to get away from that and kind of have everything be a systematic process, have everything simple and translatable. I kind of told you, right? I wanted to make it like a Chick-fil-A franchise where
Yeah.
whether you were meeting with me, whether you're meeting with, guy X, Y, or Z, everything was substantially similar. You're getting substantially the same talking points, the same material you're going through, right? All of that stuff. And luckily, we were able to really distill it down to that same type of just regimented kind of process. And you're just taking people through it. And some people will say yes. Some people will never say yes to us or anybody else, right? And we just get through those people and we get on to the good ones.
No, totally, totally. And this year, you guys will probably do about 40 to 50 million of FIA production, even though you just literally started like in summer.
That's the crazy thing. So we'll probably close out this year, I think, at 40 plus million of just annuity business, nothing else, not like AUM. And that's with me having and just my brother having up through March, when we were still with our old broker dealer, probably only having done about 10, because that was when they kind of cut off our advertising and we were having to figure out the RIA formation. And like, it's 3 months of no marketing, only doing compliance things and kind of getting all this back end office stuff like set up. And then, yeah, really just starting to like kind of be ripping and running again, like in July, I would say, so it's like from July through the end of the year. I mean, I know we're going to have topped 30 more million of just fixed index annuity business. So next year, we're going to be on a crazy run rate. I can't wait to see what the numbers are.
Yeah, that's crazy. And that's basically with 3 guys from July till end of the year. So you're looking at 30 million with 3 guys in 6 months, which is a run rate of like 10 million per advisor in 6 months, just 20 million per year per advisor in just FIA business.
Exactly. That's kind of the crazy thing again, is like when you and I were going through my assumptions, like we're always looking at like, okay, worst case assumptions, like so that I'm not ever losing money if I hire somebody. And like, I remember when putting those numbers together, I was like, okay, worst case, a guy over the course of a whole year should do maybe 10 million, like if they're a decent closer, right? And so like everything that we assumed, it seems like is almost actually double as far as like production numbers guys are going to do. And the one guy I have that's just kind of like off the bat been like a little bit of a superstar, like off and running. I hope it continues. But I mean, he's in his head, he's thinking next year, he's like, yeah, I want to do 30 to 40 million. And like, I never would have thought that was possible, but seeing in the first like 4 weeks when he did like 4 to 5, I was like, okay, like maybe this actually is possible. And he's willing to do a lot of meetings and he keeps his calendar open. So yeah, it's kind of nuts.
It's crazy. It's great. And when I tell people that you're spending like 50, 60 grand a month, they're like, that's more than my yearly marketing budget. So that's really the problem with Facebook guys, is they're getting so expensive and it's hard to get, a foothold in there, that you have to kind of join a team that is already spending, tens of thousands of dollars per month. They have a pixel, they have data. If you're going at it alone and you have a low ad spend, it's a lot more difficult for everybody.
Yeah, you're going to have a much longer ramp up rate. There's just honestly, and I've talked to other guys that were trying to, even look at potentially using your system on their own. And I've kind of told them, look, like there are a lot of things that could go wrong at any point in the sequence if you're just not great on camera, right? Like number one, you may not be great at recording your own videos. You may not look and speak well on whatever the case is, right? People aren't going to click on your ads. Your cost is going to go through the roof. It's not going to optimize properly. Like then even if you are good on camera, right, you're getting booked meetings, then there's the whole, well, do you have a team? Do you have a brand? Do you have a process and a system? Like, or are you just one guy or 2 guys kind of going around freewheeling solo without much of sort of a national brand and image? So like, I spend enormous amounts now, you kind of know, on just all of the advertising outside of our advertising that I do, being on Forbes Council, having articles featured in Wall Street Journal and Kiplinger, and like all of this different like publicity, PR type of stuff that I do, all just to build the trust and the credibility back, right? So that when people are coming to us as cold traffic essentially online, like, and then they're going to Google you afterwards and look up reviews, like, there's some brand credibility that I think has really helped as well. But yeah, it would be a very tough go, I could see, especially if you're spending sort of smaller amounts on your own, to be able to compete against, say, like a firm like mine would be very, very difficult. I've told people that.
Yeah, definitely. And even if you were getting the appointments, if you don't have a specific sales process that works for this kind of a person, it's different because you get your average case is 2 million, a million AUM, a million in FIAs approximately, which is a very different prospect than somebody who would give you $200,000 into an FIA with no AUM. It's a very different conversation. It's different presentation. I mean, the prospect that will do a 200K FIA, you're probably going to do case design, show them illustration. With this kind of a prospect, you guys don't even show them necessarily illustrations.
We rarely to never having to go into illustrations and whatnot, because if we've gone down that, the first thing that I'm saying to people is like, hey, something must have gotten off the rails, because we've already told you, like, the product doesn't matter if the process doesn't make sense to you, right? Like, there is no perfect or best product out there. Everybody wants to know, what's the best annuity product? What do you recommend? I just sent an email to my one advisor today because somebody asked him that, and I said, send this back to him. I said, look, there is no best annuity, like, and we're honest about that. It would be like somebody trying to tell you, pick the best stock for me for the next year, or the next 10 years, or what's the best mutual fund going to be. And it's like, look, we don't know at the end of the day, right? But like, when we go back to our process and we get prospects to understand our process, that's what resonates with them. And they don't care about what product it is that we're going to use. They trust that we're going to use a capable one. And we tell them, look, we're using ones from A-rated companies. They've been around for 100 plus years, right? We're going to diversify amongst some different index strategies. Like, guys can sell the products in different ways, but we really try to steer away from the product and bring everything back to our process. And that's what's really seemed to resonate with people, is how simple and easy to understand it is. I just know from having done this a long time, people will not buy what they don't understand, right? People buy emotionally, right? So they have to like you a little bit first, which is big, but then they buy what they understand at the end of the day. So if you start confusing them with numbers and illustrations and things like that, you will never close business.
Totally agree. Totally agree. And I can see Modern Capital next year doing, 9 figures of production to just FIAs, if not more than that, in different ways. And it's crazy to look back at. This year you'll do 40, 50 million. Last year you did 25. The year before you did like 12 when you were solo. Yep. So the moment you kind of found this kind of a marketing system with a scalable sales process that you have, it just blew up. I think the return on investment on the marketing side is somewhere near 10x.
Yeah. I was going to say, I think the worst month we've been 6 or 7x. And then you have those months where it's like, I know right now that my one agent coming up, we've had a guy that we've been waiting a month, but I know it's going to close. So it's going to be like a $3 million case. And then we've got another one that's going to be like a $2 million case. So it's like, you get those couple of months and it skews it to where it's, 13, 15 times return on whatever the marketing dollars were. You get those occasionally.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. And last time we spoke, the only way for somebody to kind of work with you was to kind of like work for you. Where the opportunity was to pay for their ad spend. They come in, they kind of become a part of the team, almost as if they're like an employee. Yep. And you ramp them up, and that's all good, and that's still available. But we were talking about a way for you to help more people that may not be necessarily interested in that, people that don't want to give up, say, 80% of their production, and they do have some marketing budget, and they're like, I want to benefit from the efficient marketing, from the efficient sales process. I want to grow my practice like yours. So we kind of came up with a package for them. You want to talk more about that?
Yeah. And I was thinking about that over the past couple of months of trying to figure out something for those people, because I know there are a lot of guys out there, because I've talked to them, that they want everything you just said, right? The simplicity of kind of just a done for you turnkey marketing system, something that's going to give them some brand credibility, some sales process help, maybe even some coaching and things like that, or some help with cases or coming into meetings. And I kept trying to think of, how can we formulate that, right, for the guys that don't essentially, like you said, just want to work for me or work like fully under me, and they're still wanting to run more of their own business, keep more of their own branding material and their own business name and sort of all of that, right? And so I think that's kind of what we came up with, is basically for somebody that wants to do that, right, and wants to have their own marketing spend, we can just have something starting out at $7,500 a month, with 5,000 of that going to ad spend. They don't have to have any onboarding cost with you, which I know your onboarding cost has gotten high because you're trying to filter out, right, to essentially only be working with people in firms that are kind of like me and at my size and scale now. which totally makes sense, right? But that even eliminates a lot of more smaller, maybe individual guys from being able to sort of work with you to any degree. So I think doing things like this, it still gives those smaller guys the ability to run their own business, to be able to maybe hire more agents continually under them, right? But to be able to benefit from kind of the size and economies of scale that you and I have basically built as we keep building out our marketing budget, and we're spending more and more each month, and our Facebook pixel, becomes more and more optimized each month with that larger ad spend. I think it just makes things a lot smoother for guys like that. It gives them the ability to, again, just continue running their own business.
Yeah, totally. And just to clarify, it's not that I don't want to help people who don't have marketing budgets. It's just been a waste of time for them if they're not going to spend that much money, and most of them can't afford it. So I'd rather save them 6 months and 6 figures and just say, hey, come work with Aaron. He'll give you a sales process that I can't give myself right now. And you'll still benefit from our kind of marketing campaign. And you'll be working with somebody who's been doing this. You probably receive more appointments from us than anybody else, like thousands of appointments.
Yeah. No question. And it allows guys to just get started basically day one, right? You don't have to have all the ramp up time of, even shooting your own videos and then sort of getting them back to you for editing, and then getting a Facebook page started and having the ramp up time of ads optimizing and all of that. It's just all that stuff's already done basically, right? And we know it's working well. It's not a question of if it will work well. So that money's not being wasted.
Yeah. And people might be wondering, what do I get for $7,500 a month? You'll basically have Aaron's ads going to your calendar. We'll put you on a round robin with other people that are spending the same amount of money on ads. 5K will go to ad spend, 2,500 will go to management fees. You'll get approximately 15 to 20 booked appointments a month through Aaron's top performing ads, which really attract a high level clientele. They're going to have a call with you, right? To kind of go over.
Yeah, if you want to let me share my screen, I can actually share this piece here. But yeah, that's the big thing too, I think, is that we're not meeting with any lower level prospects, right? So we screen out pretty much everybody for $500,000 in assets or more. I would say, Alex, it's very rare that we're even getting people that are kind of at the $500,000 level. Like you said, like most of the people that we're meeting with that are coming on board are really the people that are 1.5 million, 2 million and north. Right. So that's why we write a lot of these big cases, is because for us, it's just kind of a percentage of assets, right? It's not like we're, jamming all of somebody's $400,000, which is all the money they have into an annuity or anything. It's just if you're meeting with people with $2-3+ million, right, and you're doing 30-40% into an annuity, right, it's going to come out to $1 million.
Yeah.
So for us, we're looking at if somebody just wants to do a 75-25 split, right, where they're paying their own marketing budget, $7,500 a month spend with $5,000 going to ad spend and $2,500 to your management fee. Basically, we would just keep and be on the app for 25% of any annuity and life insurance business. Right. And so people can keep their own IMO, their own FMO if they want to, right, with whoever they're with. They can, use ours. I'm with Advisors Excel, which I think is a great one, but we can always sort of have those conversations. That would be sort of getting a little bit more limited case by case type of support, right, where I could support people by emails and whatnot, things like that. But I would give people an onboarding call, show them my entire sales process, provide them with my PowerPoint templates for first meetings, for second meetings, and give them access to a training page that I have for my advisors, right, which has become larger and larger every time we basically bring somebody on as a client. We have all those videos recorded, right? So from a first meeting, a second meeting, a third meeting, and if somebody's become a client, we obviously know that we did something right. So we want to keep those recordings, and we house them all in an online database so that basically we can use them for future training, right, of agents that I bring on, or for agents, right, that are looking at maybe partnering with us like this. So people are immediately going to get access to a lot of training, right, and a lot of seeing how we do things, right, and how they can use some of the materials that we would give them to sort of be more effective closers. Same thing with sort of our income Excel spreadsheet that we have that we use to create our second meeting presentations that helps close people. And then you'll have direct access to me via our Slack channel. So basically you can communicate back and forth with me anytime with that. And then we're looking at also just having kind of a 50-50 revenue split package, right? So that's where if somebody wanted me to actually come in on meetings with them, right, that they could schedule meetings for me to be in the prospect to help maybe push them over the edge, or to help close them, or to help put together a presentation for them, right? Sort of a more hands-on approach, I guess you would say. Right. And kind of the thinking behind that is that, 50% of a grape is bigger than, 100% of a watermelon, right? If it's nothing. So you want to be able to have, or 50% of a watermelon, I'm sorry, it's more than 100% of a grape, right? I think is the analogy.
Yeah.
So, that's another option that if people want to ever on demand kind of take advantage of that, right? It doesn't have to be all the time, but if they get a large prospect, a large case that they think it'd be helpful to bring me in to help close them, right? It's a good option to be able to have too.
Yeah, that's great. And some people might want to start off with the 50-50, and then maybe they can switch back to 25-75 as they're getting more comfortable and they
Yes,
see.
comfortable.
Yeah. What are you looking for? Who would be a perfect fit for this?
Yeah, I think anybody who's, done maybe a little bit of fixed index annuity sales, done any type of virtual sales, or just is comfortable at least doing Zoom meetings, right? And we can kind of even show people, look, here's the technology setup that we think you should have. Here's how a backdrop should be set up. Not that it has to be to the degree that mine is. None of my other guys have anything sort of that complex, but I can really show people, here's the exact, camera to buy. Here's the exact, computer setup I have that's cheap and very easy to use, right? Here's the software systems. Here's how to put together the PowerPoint presentations. And for anybody who is not comfortable, right, spending the amount that I spend on ads, and somebody who maybe only has an ad budget that they're comfortable with of maybe, $7,500 to $10,000 or so a month, right? That's somebody who's going to fit in well. And somebody that wants to sort of more keep their own business and their own brand alive, right? And be able to maybe still be bringing on other agents and things like that under them. That's probably the type of person that's going to be a good fit for this system.
Got it. And people are probably wondering, is there a commitment for 12 months? Is it month to month? What is it for this program?
No, so I would literally just do it completely month to month. So that's the nice thing again, right? With not having to pay sort of an onboarding fee to you. I know that's not a time commitment, right? But it is kind of an upfront financial commitment when you have to do that you want to make sure something's working. For this, it's really just going to be, look, do it. If it works for you, great. I think it will for a lot of people if you kind of follow our step-by-step process, but there's no time commitment to anything. So it's really for as long as anybody wants to keep it going and it's profitable for them.
Got it. So I guess next steps for them would be, there should be a link, a button around this video. Click it. That will take you to an application form, fill it out, and then it will take them to your Calendly directly to book a call with you. And then when you talk with them, then you guys can get it started, probably answer the questions and get this campaign started for them.
Yep.
Is there a specific time that they have to wait before leads start coming in, or how does that work?
Well, I would say from the time that they pay and the time that we can get ads going for them, there's really not going to be any much more of a lead up time other than maybe a couple of days, 3-4 days, right? It's really just going to be on your end, getting things like their Calendly set up, making sure that their Zoom is properly linked, and from there, it's really just getting payment. And then basically the way that we would do it is that we would take payment maybe on, the 20th of the month, somewhere around there, right? And then basically from there, that would give us the payment to spend for them for the next month coming up, basically. So that way, whatever their budget is that they're going to be spending on ads, we have that budget, and then we can go and deploy that budget for the following month. And it would just go like that on a recurring basis. But yeah, very little, to no lead time because all of the assets are already sort of created and ready to go.
Yeah, that's really good because with our program, it always took a long time, like 4 weeks just to get the videos and record them and edit them and everything, and maybe another couple of weeks just to start seeing traction coming in. So
that was the biggest thing. I remember when first doing it with you, we shot our videos, we edited them and everything, but then you kind of go through the learning phase of the Facebook ads and everything and the optimizing and figuring out what ads are working and what ones aren't, right? And sometimes that alone could take, a month or two basically. And that can be a frustrating period if people are spending money, not necessarily getting the immediate kind of like happy jolt of, results and good meetings and things like that. So I think this just kind of cuts all of that out basically from people because we already know what works well.
Definitely. And it says they're going to have access to you via Slack to answer any questions for them, which is huge because Slack is faster than email. You'll be able to respond to them much faster.
Yeah, Slack has been a giant help, I know, with just even communicating with you. So I'm a huge proponent of using that versus having to try and always be responding by email and whatnot. It just keeps things nice and organized. It allows me to get back to people quickly. So yeah, it's been a great resource.
Yeah, I think the biggest cost savings here is the onboarding fee, some of the management fees, the wasted opportunity that people will waste if they wait a few months to get things going. The ramp up time, like if you're spending, 10, 15 grand a month and you have to wait 1, 2, 3, 4 months to see something's going to happen or not, that period, those appointments that you haven't closed, that's also money, right?
Well, it's hard because guys know in this industry, right? From the time you even get and do a first meeting with somebody to the time that business for annuity business might be written, closed, and you're getting commissions paid. I mean, just that could be a few months at least, right? 2 months even. So then you factor in the fact that a lot of guys, if they haven't really done this before, if they don't have a great sales process already ironed out, they're going to be kind of learning by the fire or, flying by the seat of their pants a little bit and how they do a meeting process, right? And so that's the thing that I saw guys doing that I've spoken with is that they kind of were spinning their wheels, right? They were getting meetings, but it was just kind of all over the place. Like they were just running illustrations, talking to people, trying to follow up, trying to call, trying to email, and going through no real sort of regimented process with them. And so maybe they occasionally closed like the low hanging fruit, easy type of business, but there were so many people that they probably missed out on just by not having a more structured, good, detail-oriented process to follow. And so I think that will just help get guys closing business and actually making money a lot faster, right? Even when you don't factor in all the other stuff we're eliminating, like we said, the ramp up time and just the ads getting going and kind of all of that, just by having a good sales process will get guys making money faster.
Oh, definitely. And each lead source or marketing system has a different kind of person that responds to it. So if you're getting appointments from Roth IRA webinars or from, I don't know, Smart Asset, that's a very different kind of person than what we're talking about here. It's a different conversation. So knowing what to say and even seeing those call recordings, which I watch myself, they're excellent. They really give you a great understanding of who would book these meetings, what their expectations are, how they come after the meeting, how you establish rapport with them in the beginning of the conversation. That's really huge for most people to see that in action.
Yeah, I think that's going to be another one of the the biggest benefits as guys keep going on and as guys are, taking advantage of a program like this, is that training page is just going to expand and expand and expand, right? So you're going to be able to see more and more examples of successful meetings all the way through sort of first meetings, third meetings, right? And seeing how guys are doing things differently, what different phrases they're using, what different marketing pieces maybe they're using, right? Like all of those things that are helpful at the end of the day to closing business. And at our firm, right, because we're not really competing against each other from a geography standpoint. So we all kind of have a collective brain trust, right? Like all of my guys, we get together every week on a Zoom for an hour just on a Friday, and we all go over, right? Like what pieces are we using? What business have we been closing? What's been working well? What's not been working well, right? And then all of that stuff kind of gets translated a lot into training videos that you see as things improve over time.
That's great. And for us at Clients Blackbox, this made sense for us because it's easier for everybody. You guys everybody keeps asking me for a proven sales system. Like talk to Aaron, and if you don't want to talk to you, they would have needed to work for you before. But now this is a new opportunity for a lot of people to benefit from this. You get the marketing system that works really well and the sales process that goes with it that works really, really well as well. And that helps you. I mean, you 5x your production in 2 years, less than that.
Yeah.
So it's
kind of nuts. I was going to say, I remember meeting a couple of years ago with a business valuation, program or company, right? And they'd kind of seen the trajectory that every year my business had kind of doubled, and my GDC and the commission, everything had kind of doubled. And they were like, well, eventually you're going to get to a point where that can't happen. And it's going to stop and you're going to really slow down. And I was like, all right, well, if I can actually find a way finally to scale things and to, expand my time and hire more guys, right? And that's kind of what we've been doing. And I think that's what anybody can do when you have a scalable system, right? But that's the key. You can't do it when you're running seminars, right? You can only have so many guys out running around doing seminars in any geography. Even the biggest guys at Advisors Excel that I know, right, that have multiple office locations and they have 15 advisors all doing real productive work, doing in-person seminars, right? But it is a giant cumbersome mess. It is not a scalable system to the degree that we have scalability, right? Where with the click of a button, you can spend more, you can expand your advertising, the number of meetings that you're getting, all of those things. So it's just night and day difference from sort of the standard setup, I would say.
Oh, no, absolutely. And who wants to be driving around to seminars and driving 3 hours a day? It's crazy.
I used to do it. It was the bane of my existence. And every other person that does it knows it's the bane of their existence too, because I talk to them.
Yeah. Wow. So yeah, a lot of the seminar guys would love this. They'd love this. From day one, everybody used to ask me, "Hey, do you have a sales system? Sales system?" And like, I'm not an advisor. I can't really offer you that with integrity. But now it is. There it is. So.
Yeah, that's why I think it's a good partnership because, you stay in your lane almost, and I stay in my lane of what you're really, really good at, right? With the advertising, the optimizing, the coming out with new creative, me then taking that creative and doing an effective job of shooting new videos and being personable on camera and having a good sales process and good branding. I think that's what's been sort of the secret sauce a little bit, if you will, is that both of us are good at our respective roles, right? And I think it really takes, in a virtual world, like I've told everybody, you have to be perfect almost every step of the way, right? Because like if you fall off at one thing, like somebody's going to go with another firm or they're going to go with the local in-person one. So it's like we've really done a good job of, I think, perfecting things every step of the way, and that's what's translated, I think, into us having more success maybe than other people that have tried to even do virtual meetings.
Yeah, no, definitely. Definitely. I mean, you've been getting the same kind of appointments as a lot of other people, and you've been growing the fastest. So there's something there.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. If you guys have any questions, I mean, you can literally just apply and book a call with Aaron. You'll ask him directly. But if you want to ask anything, you can put it in the comments. This will be a YouTube video. And I'll take a look at them and see if I can answer any of them. Yeah, anything, did we miss anything? Anything you want to say to people before we end this video?
I think that's pretty much it, man. So yeah, like I said, if they book meetings with me, I'm happy to answer any questions that they have for sort of this process and how we do things, and see if people would be a good fit. Obviously, if they have any direct kind of marketing questions, things like that, I'll kind of send them your way. But yeah, I think it should be a good system for a lot of those guys out there that just weren't maybe a good fit for just wanting to work fully sort of under me in that essence. So
sounds good. Well, thank you guys for watching. Click the button, apply, and I'll see you in the next video.
Thanks, man.